All right, so Aeneid, Book 1, 505 through 515 is fairly straightforward. Not too many difficulties other than perhaps a little bit of elliptical reference that you might not get because you haven't read all of Book 1. Specifically right here, dy refers to Eunonis. Achates and Aeneas are in the Temple of Juno. This is not made clear by the parts of the reading which you guys have done. Here, testudine, testudo is literally a tortoise shell. But this refers specifically to the vault of the temple because of its shape being roughly rounded off at the top as a tortoiseshell would be. So in the middle vault of the temple, Saipta Artemis, this, if you don't remember, is going to refer to Dido, who was your subject up until this point in the earlier part of the reading. So she is Saipta Artemis. Compare this to Aeneas, who is described as Saiptus Nebula in line 439. So try to remember this Saiptus as being covered or shrouded. And then subnixa solio alte resedit. Nitor is, and subnitor by extension, is a deponent verb which requires an ablative of the thing which is rested upon. All right, so here you have a perfect active participle. And Dido jura dabat, legesque viris. She was giving jura and leges to the viris, and was aequabat the laborem operum. Here, this is genitive plural operum from opus. You guys might or hopefully remember that work. That word. I guess I just gave it away. Whatever. So she was equaling those things. Partibus justis, or trahebat sorte. Here, a source is literally a wooden slip or block, or even something like a wooden straw. So she was dragging them by lot, or assigning them by lot. Cum, so all that was going on. Cum subito, when suddenly, Aeneas concursu accedere magno ante sergestumque videt fortemque cloantum. Here, Aeneas is your subject, videt is your main verb, and then you need to note that videt is going to take an accusative infinitive construction as a verb of perception. So he sees antea sergestum and cloantum accedere in a concursu magno. All right. So the thing to note here is antea. You guys may not realize this, but that's a Greek accusative. You'll see a couple of those sprinkled throughout here in the Aeneid. I'll point them out when they come up. Just be aware that they are there. These men specifically, you might remember, Aeneas had worried about having perished on the seas. Right? So he sees them, and note that Cloanthus is apparently deserving of the epithet fortem. And then he also sees alios teucrorum. Here, this is a partitive genitive. He sees others of the Teucrians. Here, atercos aequore turbo. You may remember that sometimes things will be pulled into a relative clause which properly belong out of it, but occasionally things which properly belong in a relative clause will be pulled out of it. So note that this should actually say quos ater aequore turbo, and then ater modifies turbo. You may have initially thought that turbo was an adjective modifying aequore, but this is actually nominative singular. A turbo being something like a whirlpool. So note that quos here is going to be a direct object. You have a pluperfect verb from dispello here, and then penitus, an adverb meaning deep within, which it had avexerat alias horas. Here in prose, you typically have ad alias horas, not necessary here. And then obstipuit, you may assume at the beginning that this is Aeneas, but the actual subject here is Achates. So try to remember when you're reading through these Latin works to get to the end of a unit of sense before you process everything fully. So obstipuit simul at the same time ipse simul percursus Achates laetiti a metuque. So note the polysyndeton here, laetitiaque metuque, and also note the repetition of simul. All right. So acates here is perculsus. This is from percello, percellere, which means something like to strike. Uh, and then avidi, this is in the plural because it refers to both Aeneas and acates. They were avidi and they were ardebant. Uh, Here, even though ardeo means to burn literally, they use it in the same sense we do in English, to burn with desire. And then that takes a complementary infinitive. So they ardebant coniungere dextras, said, and this is to say they wanted to join their right hands with their companions, said, but res incognita animos turbat. All right, hopefully that was straightforward. I will talk to you guys about it in class.